Local news that matters. This is KLBK News at 10.
Support your law enforcement. They're out there. No matter what else is going on in the world, you know, our community's here. It's in Lubbock. And just be with that family and lift up everybody's family in this time.
Tragedy here on the South Plains as a sergeant with the Lubbock County Sheriff's Office is killed in the line of duty. Good evening and thanks so much for choosing KLBK News. I'm Terry Furman.
And I'm Matt Still. Just an awful day in Levelland today. We know at least 4 members of law enforcement were shot. One of those was Sergeant Josh Bartlett, who tragically lost his life.
Now, we've been following the story all afternoon out in Levelland and here at home. We're bringing you team coverage tonight. KLBK's Grace Morris is there in Levelland with more on what happened. And our Brenda Lipinski was there when they brought Sergeant Joshua Bartlett to South Plains Pathology. Several law enforcement agencies hosting a joint press conference this evening where Levelland Police Chief Albert Garcia told us today all started with a reckless driver.
Yeah, officers arrived on scene in minutes before being fired on by the suspect, wounding 5 officers in total. That SWAT standoff is still going on right now, and KLBK's Grace Morris has been on the scene for hours now. Grace, you've seen it with your own eyes out there. What's the latest?
Terry and Matt, 9 hours after the standoff started, police are still working to bring it to a close. Officials have confirmed that SWAT Commander Sergeant Josh Bartlett was killed during this standoff. Now, we interviewed Sergeant Bartlett a few years ago, and tonight Lubbock Sheriff's Office is asking for prayers for his family and for his brothers and sisters on the force who are still trying to arrest the suspect barricaded inside. Now, this all started around noon this morning when a Texas highway trooper saw a person recklessly driving, and according to police, it seemed they were trying to bait them. Later this afternoon, officers were called to the 1100 block of 10th Street on reports of an individual walking around with a large gun. When officers arrived, the suspect was very hostile, eventually exchanging fire with the officers before barricading himself inside the house. Other officers were called to the scene, and over the course of the early afternoon, more shots were exchanged, eventually injuring 5 officers, 2 of which were in critical condition. Bartlett was taken to Covenant in Levelland for his injuries, where he later died. The other officer taken to UMC to be treated for their injuries. The situation here has been tense all afternoon. Emergency vehicles as well as police cars have lined the streets for hours now, and officers walking around with bulletproof vests, helmets, and guns. Gunfire has also been continuously exchanged, as well as flash bombs and gas cans have been fired at the house. The armored SWAT vehicle even using a battering ram to knock down parts of the house in hopes of pushing the suspect out. There are officers and agents present from the FBI, ATV, Homeland Security, the U.S. Marshal's Office, LPD, the Bomb Squad, Levelland Police, the Lubbock Sheriff's Department, the Hockley County Sheriffs, DPS, AeroCare, and EMS. So pretty much an all-hands-on-deck situation.
Because we didn't have very much information in regards to whether or not this weapon was truly, in fact, a real weapon or not, we took precautions. We did not approach the residents immediately. We began to try to get negotiations started with the Levelland Police Department negotiator. We did make contact with him very short and brief. He was very hostile, did not want to visit with or talk to Levelland police officers at that time. It was only a matter of minutes after that contact that the suspect opened the front door to the residence and began firing on the Levelland police officers.
Officers here tell us that this is still an ongoing and an active situation, so we'll make sure to keep you updated on any new developments right here on KLBK and everythinglubbock.com. For now, I'm Grace Morris reporting in Levelland for KLBK News.
Thank you so much, Grace. That SWAT situation has been happening in a very residential area of Levelland and where Grace was standing. It's not too far from the Holy Temple Church of God in Christ there. We got some drone video from up above the events today, right there on that shed there.
The Bear, I think the SWAT vehicle, did quite a bit of damage trying to bring the suspect out.
And we were told that all the homes in that area were evacuated for everyone's safety. You can see, of course, like Terry just mentioned, a heavy law enforcement presence We've been told, and as you heard Grace say, the suspect is still barricaded in that home.
Yeah, helicopters up in the air, people on the ground, all trying to get it to come to a close. Around 8:30 tonight, the body of Sergeant Bartlett was escorted back here to Lubbock County, where his remains were met by an honor guard at South Plains Pathology.
KLBK's Brenda Lipinski was there and joins us live from North Lubbock tonight. Good evening, Brenda.
Matt, Terry, I'm here at South Plains Forensic Pathology, where Sergeant Joshua Bartlett was escorted here just about an hour ago, and I can say there was not one dry set of eyes here. He was escorted by members of several agencies, including the Lubbock Police Department, and Judge Curtis Parrish released a statement on Sergeant Bartlett's death, saying he extends his deepest sympathies to his family, friends, and his brothers and sisters in law enforcement. He says flags at all Lubbock County buildings will be allowed to have staff in his honor and memory. From now, reporting from South Plains Forensic Pathology, Brenda Lipinski, KLBK News.
And that sergeant killed in today's standoff was a veteran and a longtime officer within the sheriff's office. Joshua Bartlett was the leader of the LCSO SWAT team.
He was a veteran of the U.S. Army. He was a part of the 10th Mountain Division serving our country. He first joined the Lubbock County Sheriff's Office 9 years ago. We spoke to one of his friends tonight about what kind of man Sergeant Bartlett was. He tells us Bartlett had 4 children, 3 boys and 1 girl, and was a devoted man to his family and Lubbock County.
Serving the community, that kind of stuff. He's always had a big personality. He was that kind of guy that, you know, you run into him, it's hard to miss somebody like that. And through training and stuff like that, you know, friendship grew from there. So very devoted to his team, you know, veteran. You know, he's got service across overseas in the Middle East, served his country there, came back, has been serving his community for years here at the Lubbock County Sheriff's Office. And, you know, unfortunately today that's ended.
Again, we lift up his wife and children and family, along with his brothers and sisters in blue, in prayer.
And our thoughts and support for Sergeant Bartlett's family and those officers that were injured is coming in from all across the state, including some of our elected officials. Senator Ted Cruz heading to Twitter earlier this evening saying, quote, "I am deeply saddened to hear about the passing of Lubbock County Sheriff Sergeant Josh Bartlett. Please join Heidi and me in lifting up Sergeant Bartlett and his family in prayer. Please continue to pray for the brave officers injured in the line of duty today."
Also hearing from Congressman Jody Arrington tonight saying, quote, "I ask the people of West Texas to pray for the family of Sergeant Josh Bartlett of the Lubbock County Sheriff's Office, who was tragically killed today in the line of duty. May God bless him, all the victims of today's shooting, their families, and our community at this very difficult time."
And something that we have all been feeling today. I'd say this is one of the worst days here on the South Plains.
We haven't seen one like this in a couple of years.
We have not. Of course, I mentioned earlier, we saw our Concho County deputies be brought into South Plains Pathology a few weeks ago. Then we saw, of course, Officer Nicholas Reyna be brought in back in January of 2020, along with firefighter Eric Hill, Lieutenant Eric Hill. Yeah. This is a day that we won't forget here, but our thoughts and prayers are with that family, to his children, to his wife. We really cannot imagine there.
Yeah, and as you heard Grace talk about, you know, it's all sorts of law enforcement, you know, local, county, area, regional, state, and
Secret Service, everybody is here. FBI, everybody is here. And that situation, of course, is still ongoing. We have been told that the Texas Rangers are now taking over that investigation. But as we get more information as the night goes on, remember to stay updated right here on KLBK and over on our website, everythinglubbock.com.
11 people arrested in the Hub City. The Lubbock Police Department hosted a prostitution sting on July the 8th and made arrests for solicitation of prostitution and other offenses. We've got a full list of those arrested on our website right now at everythinglubbock.com. The tragic death of a Texas Tech police officer shot and killed in the line of duty in 2017. Family of that officer has now started a movement, Texas 635, a nonprofit organization to give back to other officers. KLBK's Skylar Soto tells us more.
Texas 635 is in support by Texas Tech University and is eager to hold their first inaugural golf tournament since the foundation started.
Texas 635 is the foundation that we started for Officer Floyd East Jr. We started it like several months right after his death. Texas Tech has been absolutely great. Their police department has always been a very strong force of support for us.
The first mission of the foundation is to offer financial support to fallen officers' families.
We just appreciate the good they're doing, and it reflects good on them, on Officer East, and in kind of a roundabout way back to the department.
The foundation provides mental health retreats and continues to support any officers in need up to 6 months after the retreats, creating a family bond. Carmen says the group gets tight.
They tell us that their lives have changed. They are more serene. They are more capable to deal with what they see and what they go through out in the field.
The foundation hopes to expand nationwide and become a part of every police department. Carmen says that Officer East is missed dearly, and she is able to take the essence of him and keep him alive.
Take it with a grain of salt. That's what he used to say a lot.
This is the first event for the foundation, and they hope that it will continue on for many years to come. Reporting from Texas Tech, Skylar Soto, KLBK News.
And the man arrested for that shooting, Hollis Daniels, has been charged with capital murder tonight. He's still being held on a $5 million bond at the Lubbock County Jail with no official trial date set.
More news still to come here on KLBK. Wildfires still devastating parts of the western United States. We'll have the very latest on those.
But first, we check back in with Jacob Riley, Chief. Of course, this was one of the hottest days for the month. It didn't feel too bad out there.
Yeah, and actually we're right at average, but like you said, didn't feel too bad. Still out there, only